Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. In today's video, we are going to talk through Deep Work, Rules for Focused Success in a Distracted World by Newport, published in 2016. But before we start, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Okay, let's get started. Newport discusses the importance of deep work, which refers to professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration. He argues that deep work is essential for creating new value, improving skills, and standing out in a cognitively demanding field. The author highlights the contrast between deep work and shallow work, which is non-cognitively demanding and often performed while distracted. He explains that technology and network tools have led to a shift towards shallow work, resulting in fragmented attention and decreased capacity for deep thinking. He offers examples of influential individuals who prioritize deep work, such as Carl Jung, Michel de Montaigne, and Woody Allen. He also discusses the economic and personal opportunities that arise from embracing deep work in a culture that gravitates towards shallowness. The book discusses the concept of deep work and its value in today's information economy. It highlights the story of Jason Ben, who dedicated himself to learning how to code by locking himself in a room with no computer and focusing solely on studying computer programming textbooks. Through his commitment to deep work, he excelled in a programming course and landed a job as a developer at a tech startup, significantly increasing his salary. The writer argues that deep work is crucial in our rapidly changing information-driven society, where the ability to quickly learn complex skills is necessary for staying relevant and valuable. It also emphasizes that deep work is necessary for producing high-quality work that stands out in a crowded digital market. Great restructuring is taking place in the economy due to technological advancements. While this restructuring may lead to job loss for some individuals, it also creates opportunities for others to thrive. There are three groups that will benefit from this divide: high-skilled workers, superstars in their field, and those with capital to invest. High-skilled workers are those who can work with and extract valuable insights from complex machines. Superstars benefit from advancements in communication and collaboration technologies that allow them to work remotely and reach a global market. Those with capital can invest in the technologies driving the restructuring and reap the rewards. The writer emphasizes the importance of two core abilities for success in the new economy: the ability to quickly master hard skills and the ability to produce at an elite level. Deep work, focusing intensely on a task, is presented as the key to developing these abilities. Deep work is the ability to focus intensely on a specific task without distraction. To learn and master cognitively demanding tasks, one must engage in deliberate practice, which requires concentrated attention and feedback. Newport also states that cognitive improvements are linked to the growth of myelin, a fatty tissue that wraps around neurons, enabling faster and more efficient firing of brain circuits. He argues that deep work is essential for productivity and success in today's economy. He provided examples of individuals like Adam Grant, who prioritize intense and uninterrupted periods of work to maximize their productivity. The concept of attention residue is also discussed, suggesting that even small distractions can significantly diminish performance. The author asserts that the ability to engage in deep work is crucial for achieving high levels of quality and quantity in professional endeavors. Newport discusses the work habits of Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter and Square, and how they differ from the concept of deep work. Dorsey's schedule is tightly packed with back-to-back meetings and interruptions, leaving little time for focused, uninterrupted thinking. However, despite his lack of deep work, Dorsey is highly successful and valued in the corporate world. This is because Dorsey's role as a high-level executive requires him to make quick decisions based on his experience and intuition, rather than spending hours on deep thinking. The author also highlights the paradox in the business world, where deep work is increasingly undervalued in favor of collaboration, constant connectivity, and social media presence. The chapter aims to explain this paradox and demonstrate the importance of cultivating a deep work ethic. Newport discusses the difficulty of measuring the impact of behaviors that either hinder or enhance deep work. He gives the example of a study on the effects of constant connectivity in the workplace. While many believe that being constantly connected is necessary for fast-paced businesses, A study found that disconnecting for 1 day a week actually improved work quality and productivity. However, despite the evidence, the culture of connectivity persists because it is easier and more convenient in the moment. This is due to the principle of least resistance, which states that in the absence of clear feedback on the impact of behaviors, people tend to gravitate towards behaviors that are easiest in the moment. Similarly, many knowledge workers engage in visible busyness as a proxy for productivity because they lack clear indicators of what it means to be productive in their jobs. This reliance on busyness as a measure of productivity has led to the prevalence of depth-destroying behaviors such as constant email checking, attending unnecessary meetings, and engaging in constant communication. The example of a blacksmith, Rick Furrer, is used to illustrate how deep work can bring satisfaction and purpose. Furrer's work requires intense concentration and skill, and he finds great meaning in the challenges it presents. However, when it comes to knowledge work, the connection between depth and meaning can be muddied. The ambiguity of knowledge work and the pressure to engage in shallow activities, such as immediate email responses and social media use, can detract from the potential for deep work to bring fulfillment. Despite this, the chapter argues that deep work can still generate satisfaction in an information economy. The neurological, psychological, and philosophical aspects supporting this claim are presented. Newport's book discusses the importance of depth and focus in cultivating a meaningful life. It begins with the story of Winifred Gallagher, a science writer who discovered the connection between attention and happiness after a cancer diagnosis. She realized that by focusing on the positive aspects of her life instead of dwelling on the illness, she was able to experience more pleasure and fulfillment. Research supports the idea that our brains construct our worldview based on what we pay attention to, and that skillful management of attention is crucial for improving our overall experience. Newport also explores the concept of flow, a mental state in which we become fully immersed and engaged in a challenging activity. Deep work, characterized by intense concentration and focus, can lead to flow and, ultimately, a sense of satisfaction and meaning in our work. The final argument for the connection between depth and meaning is approached from a philosophical perspective rather than neuroscience or psychology. The scholars Hubert Dreyfus and Sean Dorrance Kelly argue in their book, All Things Shining, that the loss of sacredness and meaning in our current era can be attributed to the Enlightenment and the emphasis on the individual. They propose that the solution lies in craftsmanship, which provides a sense of sacredness and meaning outside of the individual. Craftsmen cultivate the skill of discerning the inherent meanings in their work, and this brings order and satisfaction to their lives. This idea of craftsmanship can also be applied to knowledge work, where any pursuit that requires high levels of skill can generate a sense of sacredness and meaning. The cultivation of craftsmanship requires deep work, which is essential for honing skills and creating meaningful work. In a distracted world, it is necessary to create an environment that supports and encourages deep work in order to achieve a deep life filled with meaning and fulfillment. Newport discusses the common obstacle of distractions and the urge to engage in superficial tasks instead of deep work. Research shows that desires for activities like eating, sleeping, checking email, and using social media often interfere with the ability to concentrate on more meaningful tasks. The study also reveals that willpower is a finite resource that becomes depleted with use. To combat these challenges, the book presents strategies that involve incorporating routines and rituals into one's working life to minimize the amount of willpower needed for deep work. 4 different depth philosophies are discussed, including the monastic philosophy, eliminating or minimizing shallow obligations, and the bimodal philosophy, dedicating certain periods to deep work and leaving the rest for other tasks. These strategies aim to develop a deep work habit and maximize productivity. The writer discusses different approaches to incorporating deep work into one's schedule. The first approach is the bimodal philosophy, which involves alternating between periods of intense deep work and periods of non-deep pursuits. This approach allows individuals to balance their need for deep work with other commitments or interests. For example, Adam Grant, a professor at Wharton Business School, stacks his courses into one semester so that he can dedicate the other semester solely to deep work. He also takes regular periods of 2 to 4 days to shut out distractions and focus completely on his research. The second approach is the rhythmic philosophy, which involves establishing a regular habit of deep work. This can be achieved by setting a specific starting time or using a visual aid, such as the chain method, to create a rhythm and remove the need for decision-making. This approach works well for those with busy schedules or jobs that do not allow for long periods of uninterrupted deep work. The third approach is the journalistic philosophy, where deep work is fit into the schedule whenever there is free time. This approach requires the ability to switch quickly between shallow and deep work modes, as well as a confidence in one's abilities and the importance of the task at hand. Ultimately, the key is to establish work habits that are intentional and consistent in order to maximize productivity and creativity. The author discusses the importance of rituals and grand gestures in achieving deep work. He highlights the routines of Pulitzer Prize-winning biographer Robert Caro and renowned scientist Charles Darwin, who both employed strict structures to facilitate their work. He emphasizes the need for a designated space and time frame for deep work, as well as rules and processes to maintain focus. Additionally, the author suggests supporting deep work with rituals such as drinking coffee, providing access to food, and incorporating light exercise. The concept of grand gestures is introduced, exemplified by best-selling author J.K. Rowling checking into a luxury hotel to complete her final Harry Potter book. Finally, the author examines the relationship between deep work and collaboration, noting the drawbacks of open office environments, but also acknowledging the potential for serendipitous creativity. Deep work requires concentration and solitude, is often perceived as incompatible with generating creative insights, which often require collaboration and chance encounters. However, this conclusion is flawed, as it ignores the potential for serendipitous creativity. Newport provides examples of Building 20 at MIT and Bell Labs, which were both hubs of innovation. Despite not having open office plans, these spaces allowed for both serendipitous encounters and deep thinking. He suggests that a hub-and-spoke architecture, where both collaborative encounters and isolated deep work are supported, is the key to fostering innovation. The importance of collaboration in deep work is highlighted, as it can lead to deeper levels of thinking. However, it is also important to maintain the ability to focus and concentrate when necessary. The author adapts the concept of execution from the business world to outline 4 disciplines that can help individuals prioritize and achieve deep work. The first discipline is to focus on a small number of ambitious goals that will lead to tangible professional benefits. The second discipline is to act on lead measures, which are metrics that directly influence the desired outcome. Newport discusses the concept of lag measures and lead measures. Lag measures refer to the ultimate goal you wish to achieve, while lead measures are the behaviors that drive success towards those goals. For example, in increasing customer satisfaction at a bakery, the lag measure would be customer satisfaction scores, while a lead measure could be the number of customers who receive free samples. The book then explains the importance of using a compelling scoreboard to track lead measures and create a sense of competition and motivation. The writer also emphasizes the need for regular accountability through meetings to review progress and discuss commitments for improvement. He dissects the importance of downtime in enabling deep work and promoting insights and energy recharge. It is important you maintain a strict endpoint to your workday in order to maximize productivity and recharge your brain. Newport highlights 3 reasons for implementing this strategy. First, it explains that giving your brain a break and engaging in activities that provide mental respite, such as walking in nature or having casual conversations with friends, can restore your ability to focus and direct your attention. Second, it emphasizes that beyond the benefits of nature, any relaxing activity that offers stimulating stimuli and freedom from directed concentration can have the same attention-restoring effect. On the other hand, if you constantly interrupt your evening to check work-related emails or complete tasks, you prevent your brain from reaching the level of relaxation it needs for restoration. Finally, the author argues that the work replaced during evening downtime is usually not that important. He explains that our capacity for deep work is limited, and by the time evening arrives, we are likely beyond the point where we can effectively engage in high-value activities. By deferring evening work, we can focus on low-value tasks. To succeed in maintaining a strict work shutdown, The writer suggests committing to not allowing any professional concerns into your field of attention after work hours, including checking emails and browsing work-related websites. It also recommends implementing a shutdown ritual to review and address incomplete tasks before ending the workday, ensuring nothing is forgotten, and allowing your mind to release work-related thoughts. The writer asserts the importance of regularly resting your brain to improve the quality of your deep work. Constant attention switching online has a negative effect on the brain, making it difficult to filter out irrelevancy and manage a working memory. According to research by NAS found that people who constantly multitask are chronically distracted and initiate larger parts of their brain that are irrelevant to the task at hand, making them mental wrecks. The rewiring of the brain caused by on-demand distraction makes it difficult to concentrate even when one wants to. NAS suggests scheduling breaks from focus instead of breaks from distraction in order to rewire the brain and improve concentration. The strategy involves segregating internet use and minimizing distractions by scheduling specific times for it. Scheduling internet use both at work and at home can further improve concentration training. Another strategy to improve concentration is to work intensely on a deep task within a shorter time frame, similar to Teddy Roosevelt's approach to studying. Newport shares 3 strategies for improving concentration and deep work. The first strategy is called the Roosevelt Dash, which involves working intensely and without distraction for a set period of time, similar to how Theodore Roosevelt approached his tasks. The second strategy is productive meditation, which involves focusing on a specific problem or task during otherwise idle periods, such as commuting or walking. This practice helps strengthen concentration and resistance to distraction. The third strategy is memorizing a deck of cards, which is a technique used by mental athletes to improve attentional control and concentration. By practicing these strategies, individuals can enhance their ability to think deeply and achieve high levels of focus. In order to memorize a deck of cards, there are certain steps that need to be followed. The first step is to associate a memorable person or thing with each of the 52 cards. For example, you could associate Donald Trump with the King of Diamonds. The next step is to practice these associations until you can recall the associated image for each card. Once you have done these initial steps, you are ready to start memorizing the order of the cards. This is done by imagining the memorable person or thing doing something near an item in your house as you mentally walk through it. After completing each room, it is helpful to lock in the imagery by walking through it a few times. By practicing this technique, you can eventually internalize a whole deck of cards in just minutes. Additionally, Newport discusses the importance of quitting social media and the any-benefit approach to network tool selection. He argues that social networks and infotainment sites fragment our time and reduce our ability to concentrate. He proposes a third option, accepting that these tools are not inherently evil, but using them sparingly and consciously. He also highlights the problem with the any-benefit approach, which ignores the negatives and can lead to a hyper-distracted state. The author encourages a more careful curation of our digital tools, similar to the way a skilled laborer would approach their physical tools. He discusses the concept of the craftsman approach to tool selection in various aspects of life, including farming and knowledge work. The approach involves identifying the core factors that determine success and happiness, and adopting a tool only if its positive impacts on these factors outweigh its negatives. The author provides examples of how this approach can be applied in decision-making processes related to hay balers in farming and social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook in knowledge work and personal life. The goal is to encourage individuals to make more thoughtful and nuanced choices when it comes to selecting and using tools, considering the long-term impact on their goals and overall well-being. Social media like Facebook and Twitter may not provide significant positive impacts on our lives. While these platforms offer benefits to our social lives, they may not be important enough to justify the time and attention they require. The strategy proposed in the book advises evaluating the importance of different activities and focusing on the top few that provide the most benefit. It argues that all activities, regardless of their importance, consume our limited time and attention, and therefore we should prioritize high-impact activities over low-impact ones. The author also proposes a strategy for quitting social media platforms for 30 days to assess their relevance in our lives and reduce our fear of missing out. Overall, he suggests that social media are not essential and can be distractions from more meaningful endeavors. The author also emphasizes the importance of utilizing leisure time effectively. He suggests that instead of mindlessly engaging with low-quality distractions like entertainment-focused websites and social media, individuals should pre-plan and structure their leisure time. By engaging in activities such as reading literature, pursuing hobbies, exercising, or spending quality time with others, individuals can use their free time in a meaningful and enriching manner. Newport argues that this approach not only preserves one's ability to resist distractions and concentrate on deep work, but also leads to a more fulfilling and balanced life. He advocates for the intentional use of leisure time to enhance personal growth and well-being. According to performance psychologists, an individual can sustain deep work for a limited amount of time each day. For beginners, about an hour is a reasonable limit, while for those more experienced, it can be up to 4 hours. However, shallow work can easily consume a significant portion of your day, especially when considering the impact of meetings and other scheduled events. It is important to be mindful of how much time is being spent on shallow work, as it can impede the ability to engage in deep work. One strategy to address this is to schedule every minute of your day, dividing your workday into blocks and assigning specific activities to each block. This helps maintain a thoughtful approach to time management and allows for adjustments as needed. Additionally, quantifying the depth of each activity can provide insights into whether it is shallow or deep work. The author also discusses the concept of shallow work and its impact on productivity. Shallow work refers to tasks that are relatively easy to accomplish and do not require deep concentration or extensive skill. On the other hand, deep work refers to tasks that require intense focus and skill, resulting in higher value output. The author provides examples of different tasks and estimates the amount of time it would take for a recent college graduate to learn and perform these tasks. He suggests that it is important to prioritize deep work and allocate a specific percentage of time for shallow work. By setting clear boundaries and minimizing shallow work, individuals can maximize their productivity and achieve higher quality output. He also emphasizes the importance of fixed schedule productivity, setting a specific time limit for work and sticking to it. In order to maintain a balanced and productive work life, fixed schedule productivity benefits for knowledge work. Newport highlights 2 reasons why fixed schedule productivity can lead to success in academia: the ability to prioritize deep work over shallow work and the necessity of careful organizational habits. By ruthlessly reducing shallow commitments and managing time effectively, individuals can free up more energy for deep work and generate more value. He also delves into the topic of email and presents 2 tips for regaining control over electronic communication: making people who send emails do more work and being mindful of the quality and length of email replies. These strategies help individuals manage their inbox and avoid getting overwhelmed by shallow tasks. The author suggests a process-centric approach to managing email, which involves pausing before replying and focusing on the project represented by the message. By taking the time to identify the most efficient process for bringing the project to a successful conclusion, the number of emails generated can be minimized. The author provides examples of process-centric responses to different types of emails, such as scheduling a coffee meeting or working on a project together. The process-centric approach not only reduces the number of emails received and mental clutter generated, but also helps to close the loop on projects and free up mental resources for deep thinking. Additionally, the writer advises against responding to every email, following the example of famous academics who only respond to messages that make a convincing case and minimize the effort required. This approach can help reduce email overload and avoid unnecessary stress. Newport shares his experience with deep work and how it greatly increased his productivity and success. He describes how he would find quiet and isolated locations to work, such as the library, and would even buy expensive materials to create an atmosphere of focus and care. He explains that when he became a professor, his productivity actually improved, and he was able to produce 4 good papers a year. During his 3rd year as a professor, he turned his attention back to deep work, driven by the desire to maintain his productivity despite writing a book and going through the tenure process. By implementing strict habits and working on problems in his head throughout the day, he was able to more than double his productivity and publish 9 peer-reviewed papers. He emphasizes that deep work is a transformative experience and that it requires hard work and dedication. But the rewards are great in terms of productivity and meaning in life. Thank you so much for watching this video. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We'll see you in the next video.